Hey guys, Lunaria Vipers here. So last week I posted a video recording myself reading the prologue and first chapter of my original story, Luna's Story. Unoriginally enough. And it's about a character that I created named Luna. So I privated the original version of those videos because the audio was kind of blown out, and I will be doing the same with the clarinet video I posted that day and re-recording it today so that there are better audio versions, because the audio just wasn't that good and you have to turn up the volume quite a bit to understand what I'm saying. So this is the re-recording of the audiobook. So part of that is going to be that I'm not going to really have a blacked out screen while I'm actually reading, because that was part of the problem. What I used to cover the camera covered the mic and made the audio super weird. So I'm not going to be doing that again. So you guys are going to have to deal with watching me lean back and just be super weird while I'm reading, just like watch my face be kind of shifty. But how many people actually like watch the screen when they're listening to an audiobook? Like legit, how many people actually do that? I don't. I start doing something else. I just have the audio playing through my headphones and I just start doing like art or something. So I'm not too worried about it. But hey, if someone is actually watching me while I read, then they have something interesting to watch. So let's get to that. Prologue. In the future, far beyond our time, there is an invisible continent full of people who use magic. The land's name? Lost Time. The people there? Escapees from a few hundred years ago. The rulers? The beloved Vipers family. King Katashi is a kind and knowing soul with a very bad temper. He uses shift magic that lets him become a fire demon. Queen Amaterasu is strict but polite and sweet. She, like her husband, uses shift magic, but she becomes an earth demon. The heir to the throne is 16-year-old Luna. She's kind, creative, and strong with learning magic. This magic allows her to learn any kind of magic she wants. The kingdom is prospering, or so it would seem. The people are oblivious, but the royals are not. Katashi and Amaterasu are doing everything in their power to fix the problem, but they aren't strong enough. In their heads, the only one strong enough to beat this evil is the group known as the Magic Guard, a group lost to time itself. But the descendants of each of the members are about to meet. The stars will align, and the Magic Guard will return. Chapter 1. That damn first day! I woke early September 1st, 3037. It was the first day of high school. I was super excited, but overly nervous. I had been homeschooled since elementary school to be trained, seeing as I was the future queen. It was my junior year of high school. I was sad about missing the first 2 years, but the excitement from getting to meet my subjects, make friends, and most importantly, meet my betrothed outweighed that by a landslide. Jumping out of bed, I put on a pale pink sundress and styled my blonde and electric pink hair in a French braid. Slipping on a pair of jet black heels, I left my room with my suitcase and backpack. The rest of my family was down in the dining room, Mom and Dad sitting on the ends with my 4 younger siblings sitting on the sides. Reenie, a 5-year-old genius, hopped up from her breakfast to hug me. Reenie's long, glittery silver hair was all over the place. Her dark brown eyes were watery. "Big sis, please don't go." I smiled and kneeled, responding softly. "I have to go, but I'll be back before you know it. I promise you, Reenie." Reenie's lip quivered, and Mom coughed. "Luna, you'll miss the bus." I nodded, hugged my other siblings and parents, and then left. Once outside, I basked in the sunlight before leaving the castle grounds. I waited just outside the castle gate, and a blue metallic bus rolled up. Boarding the bus, I sat in a seat close to the front and by the window. A few minutes passed. More students got on the bus. Then a boy sat next to me. He was tall, his scarlet red hair and pale skin contrasting like a candy cane. His eyes, during the split second that I saw them, were fiery ruby red. He wore ripped jeans and a red sweatshirt that matched his eyes. The boy looked at me again. I waved shyly, and he smiled sweetly. I felt a blush spread across my face. The boy put on a pair of headphones and looked back down at his phone. He was listening to pop music. I turned back to the window and saw the Black Marble High School. The high school was meant for training and honing teenagers' magic, and for matching them up. No one picked their own partner. That decision was made for them by fate. No one knew why this was, but I was happy with it. I wouldn't be the only one restricted to having only one partner for all eternity. Getting out of the bus, I saw students using magic everywhere. On the far left, on the edge of the grounds, I saw a boy and a girl fighting. The girl closed her eyes and turned into a water dragon spirit. The boy took a stance and lunged at the girl. When he touched the dragon, it froze over and became an ice sculpture. The boy touched the sculpture again, and it unfroze to reveal the girl, shivering. She yelled and threw water at him, but he jumped and dodged. They stopped moving, bowed, and hugged. That was awesome! I shouted, running up to the two at full speed. The teens were surprised, but smiled and nodded. The boy had long, pitch-black hair tied in a ponytail, shocking blue eyes, and albino skin. The girl had ink-black hair, shiny silver eyes, and the same pale skin. I was the first to speak. What's your magic? How'd you guys do that? Who are your parents? What are your names? The girl laughed and responded, I'm Corey, and this is my twin brother, Kano. Our parents are Ezume and Hayami Neva. The boy spoke next. I use water control magic. Corey uses water spirit. We can only do that because we're seniors and we're all trained. And we were well trained. My jaw dropped. Corey spoke again. Who are you? And what's your magic? I'm Lunaria Vipress, but you can call me Luna, and I use... Wait, you're Princess Luna? You're the legendary magic learner? I blushed and nodded. Yes, I use learning magic. Can you show us? Corey asked, her silver eyes gleaming in the sunlight. Sure. I took a step back, wrapped Corey and Kano in a mini snowstorm, then cleared it. Kano clapped, then spoke. You need to get checked in. You don't get much time to unpack and meet your roommates on the first day. I thanked them and ran off. At the front desk, a woman with dark red hair and light brown eyes asked for my name. Princess Lunaria Vipress. Royal dorm. Invites are by invitation except for your match. Yes, ma'am. I'm well aware of the rules. The woman smiled. Good. Now here's the dorm key. If you invite people to stay with you, you can copy the key with that button. I nodded before going up to my dorm area. The royal dorms were protected by a powerful magical barrier. The common area held lots of games, textbooks, gaming consoles, and anything else a teen would want or need. The room even had a built-in kitchen so I could make my own food. I slowly climbed the stairs to the door marked Luna and went in. It was just like my room back home. Every single thing from my room was there. The loudspeaker came on. Apologies for the interruption, but classes will begin in 15 minutes, and for the juniors, your partners will be announced tonight. We're happy to see you all here. Go Dragons! I grabbed my bag and went to my first class. English. The teacher, a short young woman, was named Miss Shomatsu. Miss Shomatsu was one of those younger, cool teachers who asked you to call her by your first name, so we called her Ayako. Ayako had big brown eyes, out of control black hair, and a small frame, and very tan skin. The girl next to me was giggling. The girl next to me giggled as Ayako started talking. The girl had plum purple bangs, navy blue braids, sparkling ice blue eyes, and tan skin. I nudged the girl because she was being very disrespectful. The girl laughed more, and Ayako came over. Paige Shimatsu! The girl froze and spoke. Yes, Mom? Ayako had a cold glare in her eyes, and I wanted to disappear. Paige's big blue eyes became watery as she cried. I'm sorry, Mom. You're just being that cool teacher. I'm laughing because you think I'm embarrassed by you. Ayako sighed and walked away. Paige turned to me and stroked my braids. I wanted to run away from her, but I couldn't. I had to stay in class. Ayako handed out a class syllabus and bell rang. Next up was tech design with Mr. Cairo. Mr. Cairo was a stocky man with dark chocolate skin, electric yellow hair, and mint green eyes. His power, tech control, was good. He could use his mind to control anything with electricity running through it. His teacher's assistant, Heir, was a short, young-looking girl. Her pearl-white hair faded into a gorgeous gold. Her eyes were a bright metallic blue, and her skin was a rose-gold color. Her whole body seemed to glow with an electric aura. As I entered the classroom, Heir came over and spoke in a kind but authoritative tone. "Hello, Princess. If you don't mind, I'll show you to your seat." I nodded and followed her to a desk at the front of the room, next to Mr. Cairo's desk. I sat down and pulled out my laptop to take notes as Mr. Cairo began his speech. "Welcome to Tech Design. As you may or may not know, my name is Mr. Cairo. You may also call me Professor. In this class, you will learn how to design games, upgrade your technical devices, and tune up anything that runs on electricity and is counted as tech." As the professor talked, the boy next to me scoffed. He was tall and bulky, with many piercings. His hair was black, streaked with silver. His eyes were a cold iron color, and his skin seemed like iron itself. But his piercings that lined his nose, eyebrows, and arms and ears were the most distracting thing. In the low light, illuminated by the many screens, he seemed like a metal statue, like an animated metal thing. Then he spoke. Well, shouted, really. "Hey, Teach! You gonna tell us how to make the next big thing?" The whole class froze, and they murmured, "Who is that boy? Why is he being so rude? Who died and gave him permission to act like that?" "Young man," Mr. Cairo started, "you would do well to hold your tongue when talking to your superiors." "Oh, is that so? Well, you can't physically harm me. Just give me a detention. So yeah, backtalking is going to be a thing." Ella and Mr. Cairo looked pissed. Ella was the first to talk. "I don't care for your tone, Junior. You're in this class to learn and take orders, not to give them out." The boy was shocked for a second, then smirked and responded, "Oh my, do I sense some affection?" Ella's face turned cherry red, and she ran out of the classroom. Mr. Cairo was at his desk writing up a detention slip. "I'll see you at lunch, Mr. Tetsu." "Whatever, Teach." Mr. Cairo muttered something as he gave the boy the paper. I looked over, and the slip said, "Malachite Tetsu." I decided I would show some kindness. "Hey, I like your name, Malachite. It sounds cool." "Thanks. I was named after the mineral. My parents, especially my dad, dubbed my twin sister and me after them in creative ways. My mother and father went with a more practical outlook, like having our names match our powers. Princess Luna, how does that represent your magic? Do you control the moon?" "Lunaria Eclipse Vipress. My name is an elongated, adapted version of Luna Viper. She was an all-powerful wizard who gained power by learning from others. She's the first in the royal line, and now, 1,000 years later, I have her name and abilities." "Wow, 1,000-year-old legacy. What does it mean?" Malachite seemed interested, almost enthralled by my tale. "Mother and father say that history is to repeat itself this year. The challenges of 1,000 years past will happen again." "What else did they tell you?" "There was one other thing, but I'm not sure it's time." Malachite looked sad, but nodded. "By the way, Mr. Tetsu, please quiet down." Malachite grumbled, wrote something down, and pushed a paper towards me. "Here's my number. I hope to hear from you." I glanced at Malachite and nodded. When the bell rang, Malachite and I walked out, talking and joking as he walked me to gym class. I went to the locker room and changed into a navy blue tank top and shorts. Walking back out, I saw the red-haired boy from the bus. His t-shirt was Arctic blue and his shorts were a cool gray color. The teacher, Miss Palmer, was a tall and thin woman. Her black hair, which was streaked with platinum blonde, was pulled back into a tight ponytail. Her black eyes were covered by thin silver glasses, and her skin was a dark tan color. Her face was stern and sour. Miss Palmer walked around and assigned all of us partners, saying that the person we were delegated could make or break our gym grade. My partner was the red-haired boy. Damn, he's so hot. How is a human legally allowed to be that good looking? "Hello, Princess Luna. My name is Renjiro Adira." Hi. Well, I guess I don't need to tell you my name." "Who doesn't know you? You're Luna, the eldest of the 3 princesses and the heiress to the Viper's throne. Your magic is literally a legend, only seen in one other wizard 1,000 years ago." My face was light pink fading to magenta. His voice was intelligent, hot, and awesome. Well, I'm sure your magic has some history to it, too. Yeah, I got my dad's forging magic. I was in awe. Forging was rare and only found in the Adira bloodline. Even if it's common in the Adira family, you still only have a 20% chance to get it. Hey, Renjiro, would you be willing to show me sometime? Show you what? Your power. I've never had the chance to learn forging magic, and it would be a really fun power to add to the mental library. I begged with puppy eyes. Renjiro smiled slightly and responded, Sure, I can show you, but it'll be hard. You can't give up halfway through. I squealed internally and hugged him. Thank you so much. He was surprised, but embraced me and said, Of course, Luna. Miss Palmer blew her whistle and announced that we would start the year with a dodgeball game. She said that the pairs would be split, one teammate to each opposing side. Renjiro went to the left side, so I stayed on the right. I was surrounded by people I didn't know. Many of them had bright hair or rainbow of skin tones and personalities. Okay, students, you're allowed to use magic as long as no long-term harm comes to another student. I made a mental note to hold back. And remember, students, there are no real dodgeballs. You make them yourself, using your abilities. If you don't have offensive power, use your defense to protect your team. I was ready. I had over 150 powers stored in my mental library, and I was welcome and able to use any or all of them. Miss Palmer blew her whistle, and the game began. Renjiro was the first to move that I noticed, and he made a ball out of some kind of metal. I summoned a stone shield as he threw the ball, and it bounced off, then hit him in the face. Luckily, he managed to heat up the ball, so it was just hot metal when it hit him. All around us, everyone else was doing what we had started, training and using our powers against our partners instead of working as a team. Oh, well, I guess that's how the cookie crumbles. I lifted myself off the ground and used time magic to freeze Renjiro, threw a ball of compact ice, then unfroze time. Renjiro was knocked against the wall, but retained no physical damage. He walked to the bleachers as I stood in the gym and waiting to see if someone would come after me. No one did. The bell rang and we all moved to the locker rooms, then to lunch in the cafeteria. I sat alone at a table in the corner before a handful of familiar faces joined me. Renjiro, Corey, and Kano. With them were 3 new people. A young girl with hot pink and red hair, bubblegum pink eyes, and pale skin clung to Renjiro. Just behind Corey and Kano was an albino, light blue-haired, charcoal gray-eyed boy. The boy was holding the hand of a young, albino-skinned, seafoam green-haired, wide-eyed girl. The girl's eyes were like crystals, or glass. They seemed dead, like they could still move and see, but the connection between the brain had been severed somehow. Luna, this is my sister, Sumie, Renjiro said. Then Corey spoke up. The boy is my little brother, Rhydon, and the girl is Nari. Nari's blind, but she has her twin brother, Rhydon. I nodded. It's nice to meet you 3. So what are your grades? Nari and Rhydon said, sophomore. Then Sumie responded with, freshman. Cool. I'm a junior. I turned to Corey and Kano. So, what are your partners like? Corey blushed while Kano looked away. Corey spoke in a flustered tone. His name is Brody Star. He's the eldest of 3, the 2 oldest being twins. He's about 5'9", mocha brown hair, amber eyes, slightly tanned skin. Corey stopped and said, I have to go to the bathroom. As she walked away, I could clearly hear her cursing under her breath. I turned to Kano and he said, my girl's name is Mimi. She's got bright blue hair, lemon yellow eyes, and very tan skin, and she's coming this way. I turned to Kano and he said, glancing behind me, I saw the girl Kano had been talking about. Mimi was undeniably gorgeous, but her hair didn't look natural. Randomly colored hair is quite common, but her hair seemed fake. I didn't bring it up, since I didn't want to offend. Mimi made a beeline for Kano, sat on his lap, and then kissed him. Hey, babe, where have you been? Hey, cutie. I've just been hanging out with some new friends, including the heir to the throne, Princess Lunaria. Her bright yellow eyes bore through me. So, princess, what do you do? Her lips pursed as her eyes slowly filled with disdain. I use learning magic. When I see others use their magic, I analyze it, add it to my mental library, and then I can use it whenever I want. The girl huffed, looked at Kano, and said, Babe, I don't want you hanging out with this bitch. I could feel the color drain from my cheeks before it came back with a fiery passion. I walked over to Miney and smacked her, then snapped, You don't know me. You have no idea what I'm like. Miney cried and ran away. Kano got up and looked down on me, but I looked him in the eyes with an unapologetic glare. Kano sighed and walked after Miney. I glanced at Rhydon, Nari, Renjiro, and Sumie. Nari sat and ate. Rhydon got up to follow Kano, and Sumie bit her lip and looked away. Renjiro looked at me with a warm smile. My face burned with fury. Miney had no right to treat me like a floozy. I was her future queen, and she treated me like shit. Wrapped up in anger, I did not notice that Renjiro had moved to sit next to me. What I wanted more than anything at that moment was to take back my harsh words, to undo what I said, and did, but I also wanted to wound that girl. Miney, something was off, and I was going to find out what. When Renjiro put his arm around me and rubbed my shoulder while I shuddered in anger. I wasn't against him. It wasn't against him, though. I was just pissed as hell. Kano came back with Mimi. Luna, I'm sorry for what I said. I was scared of losing my baby. I looked at her with disgust. Even if I was attracted to him, I can't. That right is yours and yours alone, thanks to the betrothal ceremony, I swiftly retorted. Mimi's lips pursed. She looked ready to sass me, but the glare I gave her made her back off. Then I noticed something strange. Mimi's bright yellow eyes had turned dark green? Her bright blue hair had also changed. It was now lime green? I looked at her menacingly, and her hair and eyes went back to blue and yellow. I'm sorry, but what magic do you use? I'm an illusionist. You're lying. Illusion magic was wiped out. It doesn't exist anymore. I politely responded, I don't mean to be rude, but illusion magic was wiped out. Any and all illusionist bloodlines were killed by my grandparents over 50 years ago. So where's your proof? I'm not allowed to use my magic. Mother says people would have me arrested. Then you do have illusion of magic. My question is, how? The bloodlines were wiped from history. How I have my magic is none of your concern. She shot back. The bell rang and I stalked out of the cafeteria and went to my AP Calculus class. The teacher, a short man with violet eyes, bronze skin, and tiger orange hair, was named Mr. Kono. At the back of the room, I saw Malachite and went to sit by him. Hey, Luna, I would have seen you at lunch, but Mr. Cairo tracked me down and made me sit through detention. It's cool. You just missed me being called a bitch and me slapping the girl who insulted me. Nice, Princess's Thorns. Respect, he complimented. I blushed slightly, but brushed it off when Mr. Kono got up on his podium and started speaking in a low but kind voice. Welcome, students, to AP Calculus, or, as we say, AP Calc. Now, you may be wondering what you will learn here, but believe me when I say that I make this class very easy. Every test, you will get a note card to write what you need. Any homework will get thorough instruction, and you will get plenty of time to work in class. He paused as his face turned solemn, and he said, If you fail this class, it's because of your own ineptitude. I glanced at Malachite, who had a devilish grin on his face. Are you going to try to fail? I whispered. Malachite's grin widened, and he nodded. I rolled my eyes and looked back at Mr. Kono, wondering what the hell Malachite was going to put him through. Mr. Kono droned on for another 30 minutes before the bell rang. Malachite said, Sweet, 4 down, 2 to go. I nodded and rushed to chemistry. Mrs. Mako had platinum blonde roots that faded to a luscious lavender, copper-colored eyes, and mid-toned skin. She spoke in a melodious voice. She was positive, perhaps a little too joyous, like she was hiding something. I sat down near the back of the room next to Renjiro, who reached over slightly and squeezed my hand. I blinked and yanked my hand away, while his face turned bright red. You can't hold my hand. We haven't been through the ceremony, and the law stipulates that we can't act romantic till we find out our partners, I said curtly. Renjiro looked at me with puppy eyes. God damn, those rubies he calls eyes are adorable. No, bad Luna. I wanted to hit him, but he was too charming. He responded quietly, I hope you're my partner. I blushed, but ignored him and turned to the front of the class where Mrs. Mako was going through the first day spiel. Nothing Mrs. Mako said was of note to me. It was just going over the first semester curriculum, checking that everyone knew where supplies were, and knowing what we needed every day. The super boring basics. I was really thankful when the bell rang. Last class. Let's finish this. I started on my way to health class. I wouldn't have been taking health if it wasn't required for juniors, mainly for the sex ed portion. Since we'd be getting our partners soon, we'd have to know about the birds and the bees, so nothing happens. Health classes were co-taught by Mr. and Mrs. Neva. Mr. Neva was a tall, subtly toned man. His hair was mint green, his eyes were cerulean blue, and his skin, much like his children, was albino. His Mrs. Neva was also very pasty. She had navy blue hair, pastel blue eyes to match. Mrs. Neva was about 5.5 feet tall, so she was short and a little plump. When she saw me walk in, Miss Neva took me to the front of the room and sat me down next to Paige, who excitedly said, "This is awesome! I have 2 classes where I sit next to a princess." I was stunned. Did Paige have any idea how that sounded? Like she didn't care about the person, just the person's heritage? I can't help it if I'm the eldest of 5 in the royal family. I can't even help that I'm in the royal family. The amount of pressure everyone puts on me just because of who my parents are, it's unbearable. At least it will get easier once I get my partner. The Nevas got into the first day spiel, sounding just like every other teacher. At the end of the class, the loudspeakers came on. "Hello again, students. I hope you all had a great first day of school. Now, dinner is until 6, and the juniors' betrothal ceremony is at 8. See you all then." My students packed up their stuff and went their separate ways. I trekked to the other side of the school to go to my dorm. My stomach was churning about the ceremony. I had to pick an outfit, get makeup on, eat. Sure, I had a few hours, but is 5 hours really enough time to do hair, makeup, and find the perfect outfit for the most important day? I didn't think so. After a few hours of deliberating, I had my outfit, makeup, and hairstyle planned. I didn't have time to go down to the cafe to eat, so I was going to make my dinner in my dorm. I decided on a simple grilled cheese sandwich. I ate quickly and put on my stuff. I had chosen a short, pale blue dress. My makeup consisted of a bold red lipstick, black eyeshadow, white eyeliner, and cool gray mascara, and a coral blush. The last part was my hair, which I decided to do in beach waves. I went down to the auditorium where the ceremony was being performed. On the stage was the principal. No one knew her name, but she was beautiful. Her hair was a cascade of reds, her eyes were a soft pink, and her skin was pale. The principal spoke into the mic. "Welcome, juniors. I'm excited to invite all of you here to join the adults and have your lifelong partners. Of course, we'll go in alphabetical order on the girls' list, then the boys. Except for one girl, Lunaria Viperus. Please come down, your highness." My face burned. My parents promised I wouldn't be first. Guess my birthright outweighed my wish. I walked confidently down to the stage and stood next to the principal. All the boys' fingers were crossed while the girls looked disgusted. I took a deep breath as the principal spoke again. "Princess Lunaria, meet your partner." She presented me with a folder and handed me the mic. Apparently, I had to say the name. "Renjiro Adira." Throughout the room, you could hear groans and a single person shouting, "Yes!" The principal took the mic. "Renjiro, Lunaria, you may go to the dorm of your choice to set up your stuff. You'll probably choose the royal dorms, though." I nodded and left the stage, joining up with Renjiro at the exit doors. "I vote we stay in your dorm," Renjiro stated. I nodded, took his hand, and showed him the way. I gave him a key. I made him a key and handed it to him. He was in awe and loved how the dorm had already been changed to have a room for him. A third room was open for us to use together. Upon entering Renjiro's room, his stuff was all set up. His room was covered in armor and various weapons. "Did you make these?" "Yeah, my room was plain, so I made a bunch of stuff and decorated my room, Renjiro style," he replied with pride. I smiled and hugged him. Renjiro embraced me and captured my lips in a soft kiss. I kissed him back and pulled him on the bed. He pulled away, smirked, and asked, "Do you really want to play this game?" No." "That's what I thought." Renjiro smirked again and picked me up bridal style, then took me to our shared room. "You get into your pajamas. I'll be back." I nodded and changed quickly into a light gray nightgown, then laid on the bed. Ranjiro walked in a few seconds later in some dark blue PJs and settled down next to me. I snuggled into him, slowing my breath till I gave in to the sweet solace of sleep. So that was the prologue and first chapter of my story. Obviously there were some rough edges where things didn't line up perfectly, where I stuttered a lot and stuff, but I hope you guys really enjoyed, and I should have chapter 2 out next week, I'm hoping, but really that all depends on like when I have time. Excuse me. Oh gosh. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this. If you guys want, I can do a video where I show the character models for the characters so you better understand like what the characters look like so you know what you're looking at. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!